So, we have a special guest today, Roman from Diva-e, and in the pre meeting, Roman told me that he's been with the AEM community for so long that it's right. Going back to a time when it wasn't called AEM, but was called CQ, and even when it wasn't called community, just a bunch of people doing stuff. So, with that being said, Roman, as you've been a long timer, what is your favorite kind of dinosaur?
Oh, my T-Rex for sure.
T-Rex. Okay, very good. Why exactly?
Oh yeah, T-Rex. He was like huge. He was the first dinosaur already on 2 legs walking, so
Right.
he was advanced. And yeah, he was eating all the other ones. So.
Okay. So I figure you are in sales, right? Because T-Rex, very short arms, doesn't do much on the keyboard, but very big mouth. So.
Yeah, it's worse. I'm in management, so.
Okay. Oh well. Okay. Well, that's always a two-sided sword. So, my congratulations and condolences. But the reason you are here is that Diva-e has been really an early adopter of Edge Delivery Services. Going back to the time when I think you joined at a time when it was still called Franklin, right? So we can.
It was Alex to Franklin.
Right. So just like dinosaurs, we can date everything by the code name. So that's the Franklin era, and then there was the what was it? Next generation composability era and the Success Edge era, and now we have the Edge Delivery Services era, and I'm really excited what the next era is going to be. So, Roman, I know a couple of things about Diva-e, but not a lot. I know that you're organizing the adaptTo event in Berlin, which I really could only follow from the sidelines, and that you've started building sites on Franklin very early on. But that's really all I know. So, can you give a bit of background what Diva-e is and what exactly you do?
Yeah, happy to do so. Diva-e, classic digital agency and Adobe partner. We are ranked about the 7th biggest agency in Germany. So we have a very strong footprint in Germany and a very strong Adobe footprint. We don't just do like AEM, we also do like target analytics, real-time CDP. We were the first partner who had specialization globally. That's what we're very proud of.
Yep.
And yeah, on the AEM part, as I said, adaptTo, probably that's where we're known from. But also, for example, WCM.io, the open source website where you have like all these helper tools around classic AEM. It's also like made by Diva-e. Yeah,
Okay.
and
very cool.
source community. Yeah, so obviously try to do the bridge also into the open source world and so on, and get like, yeah, the best stuff together for our customers.
Okay. So, did you bring friends from work to the call today? Just to.
Oh, let's see.
If you could take a quick look at the attendee list, just.
I've seen Bird wanted to come, but does not look like he is here by now, or he has not come around.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't look like. Like it's me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
Let
me register my disappointment. This is going on the permanent record. You can share the YouTube video later on with your colleagues. But with that, I think would be good if you could start with your presentation. And as always, right? I said it earlier. This is the one meeting this week where you should talk the most, everyone. So feel free to ask questions at any time. And I'm really happy to hear from you what you think and what you have to say. Go ahead, Roman.
Thank you, Lars. You should all see my screens. Can I get it's the first time?
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Yeah, actually, what I'm gonna tell today, or what Dominic asked me, I should tell a bit like about our experiment where we translated or migrated our adaptTo website to Edge Delivery Services. So this talk actually, it's Stefan. Let's say it's an extended teaser of Stefan Seifert's talk he's done at adaptTo a few weeks back. So already now, for the ones who like what I'm going to tell you and want to go into more detail, there's the extended version available on YouTube. I'm also going to provide the link afterwards. So yeah, let's get it started. See. Get the next slide. Yes, all right. Yep. Yeah, to myself, as mentioned, I'm Roman. I'm in charge of Diva-e's Adobe unit. And yeah, for me, it all started, as Lars mentioned, in 2004 with Day Communique version 3.55 developer training. At the point of time where we had like this ECMA scripts, and it was shortly before JSP was introduced. So yeah, yep. I'm living in Munich, yeah, since already several years. Back to the project. Starting point was adaptTo website in version 6.5, classic on-prem, hosted. And the code was very legacy. I think the code was about 8 years old. So as you can see, it was mostly backend code, very limited front end on top of it. And it was performing bad, like and you see the Lighthouse scores, they were not so great. It was okay on desktop, on mobile, not so great. Also, the whole user experience, let's say, it's doing its job, not more, not less. But for us, it was about a bit more than a year ago, as we thought about, yeah, we need something to try out this AM Franklin. We need a website. So yeah, to find a customer website for your very first experiment, that's always hard. So we said, okay, let's take adaptTo website, because there we are customer and implementation partner in one. So there's not a lot of convincing to do. So we just could start with it. Yeah. And we also figured out it's actually not just a trivial website. If you see adaptTo website, on the first glimpse, you have the impression, yeah, it's some templates, some content on it, but we had like some quite special features on it where we wanted to try out, is Franklin or Edge Delivery Services capable to manage it? Like, first of all, we have like a kind of a yearly edition. It's kind of a catalog. You can jump back and take like the yearly edition from 2012 or something, and then you have like the whole content. So you kind of can time warp back through like all the 12 years of adaptTo conference history. Then we had some features like the auto-generated schedule and talk information, where we had like a fancy template and component where you can drag and drop like your agenda items. I'm gonna show you it later on. And then it always built on the fly the agenda. We had speaker database, where a lot of you guys are registered in it. Like everybody who ever did a talk at the adaptTo conference was in the speaker database. And it was like a lot of dynamic stuff going on. So yeah, there's a lot of tagging and so on, using like all these AEM core features. Talk archives and some basic integrations. And yeah, you also need content management systems. So for that, we had like user-centrics. The goal, as I've mentioned, we wanted to try it out using Edge Delivery Services and document-based authoring. For the document-based authoring, we decided to go for Google Stack, as the blueprint from Adobe is also using it. And
are you using Google Docs internally? So, or was that
no,
really?
we don't.
Okay.
No, we don't. So yeah, the big struggle also was like to get managed the Google Stack if you're not used to it. We are on SharePoint and the Microsoft stuff, but like for the first try, we used the Google stuff. Okay. Yeah, and the idea was like keep the content layout functionality, so no redesign, classic lift and shift, but do it like as fast as possible.
Right.
Yeah, now would like to highlight a bit like how we made the data migration, like the content migration, and also like some special features and what like our solution was. First of all, the plan was to import the content as early as possible. For that, we used like the Franklin importer, which we figured out is quite a mighty tool. We were actually really satisfied how easy it is to take like any, let's say, static website and grab the content from there and transform it, and also like that is like customizable. But we had an issue, like our rendered content was not really the content we needed. So when we just would scrap it like from the publisher, we would not like have the structured information we had like in our author and publish system on 6.5. So we needed a solution for that to prepare the content so that we can grab them, so that we can migrate it into Franklin that still like this whole special features, like for example, like the whole relations between the different content pieces are still working. So some content architecture restructuring has to be done. And the good thing, we had full control of AEM 6.5. So what we've done, we went back to Sling and we did some Sling scripts on the 6.5 to support the import process. So we introduced a new Sling selector called Helix. Yeah. Also, we could call it Franklin, but we even called it Helix. Go a bit back. And as you can see, like we had then for the content page, the navigation, like each part of the website, we had like the selector so that we just could kind of publish this part of content we needed then to grab by the importer, so that we had like the structured content in the way on the future platform as we had it like on the legacy side.
Yeah. So those of you who don't read the chat, Chris just said that lift and shift, and I would normally add that as well. Lift and shift are the best way to get started, right? Because you never have discussions about scope with the client, because whatever is live already apparently was good enough, right? And if you then take it and lift and shift it, you have a good baseline to compare against, right? And then you compare, is the new site faster? Yeah. Is the authoring more enjoyable for authors? Yep. And how long did it take? Well, it took less time. It took less time to migrate it than to build it initially, and that's typically a very good track record, right? And well, I'm not going to take away from this, but I'm going to ask you how long it took to build the initial website, and if the migration was faster than that, and considering that it probably wasn't the first AEM website you've ever built, but it definitely was the first Edge Delivery Services site that you've built.
It's absolutely true. That was the first Edge Delivery service, and actually, as I said, it was like really getting quite fast and speedy through the process. Yeah. We don't really know exactly how much time it took at the end, but I think Stefan is first working part-time, and then he also is doing other stuff. So it was like part-time of part-time, but I think we had like a duration of about 2 months or something, and the whole thing was been done. Yeah. So that was like one problem we had to solve, like this import process, where like our solution was like, having the Sling selector. Another thing I've already highlighted it a bit was like we had this feature, like this special template with components where you could drag and drop these different agenda items. Because one of the big parts preparing adaptTo conference is like we have like this zillion of talk requests, different duration and stuff, and you have to build like this 3-day program. So there's a lot of up and down and so on to do, and we've done that actually on the website. So, but we don't have like, how you say, we don't have like a backend anymore, and there's not such feature in Word available. So we needed a solution for that, and then we went for spreadsheet.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we've done these fancy, mighty spreadsheets, and we figured out once more how mighty spreadsheets can be. And then we've built like our new agenda with spreadsheets. Right. And when you send the spreadsheet into the Franklin pipeline, you get JSON objects out of it. So each slide is a JSON object, and this can then be transformed and presented. So yeah, we started to work with spreadsheets, but at the end, yeah, it worked out perfectly. We had some other more complex logic stuff. So stuff like fetching speaker information and picture for a talk. For example, you have talk XYZ, and then getting like all this data where we worked like a lot with on the tagging side and so on. Then, or like the auto-generated speaker gallery would be an excellent example, as you can see it there. We could do it the easy way. We do like take a simple Word file, do kind of a table, add like all the images in it, and publish it. That would be the easy way. But we didn't want to do it that way. We wanted to have it like that's like automatically generated, so that we say, okay, we have year to 2023. Bring me all the speakers. Bring me their images and sort it by in alphabetical order and stuff like that. So, but it's all client side in Edge Delivery Services. So there's no page manager, no Sling API, not even a query builder. So what we had to use to solve this kind of issues.
Sorry to interrupt once again.
Yep.
So speaking of query builder, I know the product manager who specified the query builder originally. Can I get a quick feedback from the community? What you think about the query builder? If you love it or hate it, or if you think it's you can use the soundboard or the emoji reaction, whatever. And I'm going to read it and relay it to that person. Because sometimes we're still having discussions in the team about this. So what's your opinion on query builder and AEM? Okay, thanks. That's okay. So the background here is obviously that was me who came up with that idea, and in the early days of Helix, I actually re-implemented it for Helix. So if you scour the Adobe GitHub repositories, you're going to find it. So there's a possible implementation for this, but we never brought it into the product because apparently there are other ways to solve this, and Roman is going to show exactly how.
Exactly, we introduced the query indexing. As you can see, like it's all documented on Helix Live developer indexing, and started like doing this indexing, which is actually in one hand quite simple, other hand quite mighty. It's you just like add like a new spreadsheet into your root folder where you have the query indexing, and then the Helix bot needs access for it. You define like the metadata columns in it, like what data you would like to have stored, and then on every content publish action, you get like a new row into your spreadsheets. And at the spreadsheet, as I mentioned before, then you have like the JSON object, and you have kind of have like a living index in a spreadsheet. Yeah, so this was like the solution there. We like how we figured like all the different content pieces together and have like kind of an index in like our backend. Yeah, that were like the three let's say features or special solutions I wanted to highlight.
One question about the index. Did you use filtering in Excel to separate, for instance, the speakers from the schedule items later on when consuming the index, or do you just serve it as one big JSON file?
I think it was one big one, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Okay. Yeah. All right, then mission accomplished. Absolutely. After the migration, we did like, as you always do, let's see Google Lighthouse score. And yeah, we had like this magic 100 we always wanted to have. We probably would never be achievable to it like the classic way in the AEM world. So that was like what we wanted to have. And yeah, our conclusion like about this first project. First of all, I think we're majority in here in this community are tech people. So like, I think it's important that we also like have a look at the developer experience. Like, how is it? Because it's quite a big change, to be honest, especially for like the backend guys on the Java stack, like doing like all this OSGI, Oak, Sling, and so on. This super complex development. For that, it's really back to simplicity. It's simple. What I personally like is like it is plain vanilla JS and CSS, no front-end frameworks. I know many front-end guys now will disagree with me, but for me, it's like a bit of hassle. Like every 6 months, you have like a new framework. It's super hyped, and 12 months later, something new pops up, and it's even more hyped. Here, we went back to standards, and honestly, JavaScript, like in the our day version, is super mighty. So we can do almost everything. When we go 10 years back, there was more the time where I was doing like my hands dirty, my little dinosaur hands. Then you need a jQuery to do everything. Today, you can do almost everything with JavaScript. I also like the idea about not having these stages anymore, that you always like test your stuff with live content. No lorem ipsum dolor and strange images and stuff like that, where you think like, okay, what do I'm testing? You're testing your stuff like on live content. And also super cool feature, in my opinion, is like there's on the pull request base, every branch has like its own URL without huge build pipelines and stuff, where you just can test your stuff, instant speed insights and stuff like that. So really going back to like to this simplicity, I think it's pretty awesome. So a bit in more detail, like where we had like what we liked a lot and where we seen some limitations. As I said, Stefan said the coding was fun and refreshing. So yeah. And super quick development cycle. As I said, we had like a maximum of 2 months. We've expected much more time, especially like considering the amount of hours we had in this time period. Yeah, so, and it's not a niche technology. I think that's something which is really great. It's not like Sling in a new way was invented. So really going like back to simple and standard software development frameworks and languages.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite, yeah, sorry.
We have a question from Mariana on the chat, which is, what about code organization, right? Doesn't it get just a messy ball of spaghetti when you're using plain JS, and shouldn't you use something like TypeScript for this? What's your opinion on this first, and I think then a couple of other people are going to jump in as well.
The buzzword TypeScript. I think the first thing was like, do we have TypeScript support? No, you don't have TypeScript. Can't use it and so on. But I think like if you code it clean, I think it shouldn't be an issue to have like the big spaghetti code mess. I think maybe you have to be a bit more careful in doing your stuff when you have like supporting frameworks who take to do this job. When you go like to plain JS, yeah, your structure, your code, it has to be clean, but I don't think that should be a big issue. But happy with other things about that.
I think since we have probably the most complicated implementation of Edge Delivery Services, I can maybe speak with a bit of authority. For us, we went through like, oh, did you use the right Maven command? Oh, did you use the right version of Babel? Oh, that's the old version of Babel. What version of Webpack are you on? Oh yeah, where's the npm dependency here? Oh, it pulled from the corp artifactory. Oh no, you want the public artifactory. Like not to say that like I'm definitely like team don't use TypeScript for the most part. Actually, I've never used it and I prefer not to. So take maybe some of this with a grain of salt, but you can, if you write your JavaScript correctly, whether you use JSDoc or you have, you're passing in objects with names instead of just unnamed properties, You can kind of have like and you use things like ESLint. You can have a non-spaghetti, well-crafted, well-maintained, maintainable code base that can satisfy very, very large. I mean, we're at like 200,000 plus pages across 10 different web properties. It's super possible, and so it's not for me that like TypeScript is bad. It's more like what's the lesser of evils, and so the amount of work we did to onboard developers with the build tooling and everything is a greater evil than 30 seconds AEM up and you're ready to go. You can start writing code, and it's not like, hey, why is my Babel not working and yours is, and all of that stuff. So that's my thoughts on that.
So from a product perspective, there are two things here, right? One that I absolutely love about JavaScript and about the very, very short tool chain that you need to operate in order to get a site live is that we as a product team can look at any customer site and immediately understand what is going on. And if things go wrong, it's much, much faster to help people than just trying to replicate the development setup. And that's a big plus. The other part of this is that that our own technology stack, right? We have a bit of VCL. Well, we have significant amounts of VCL, but the vast majority of our code is JavaScript, right? And it's the one programming language that we choose, and we said we want to make sure that we are writing in the same programming language that our customers are writing, and modularity and code organization has never been a problem, not in the slightest bit, right? The argument about static type checking, I absolutely get. The way we are addressing this is by ensuring that we have 100% code coverage, right? Which means errors that normally the type checker would check, we can catch them too, and that really makes off, or that really is a counterbalance to the cost of the tool chain, right? Because with TypeScript you have new versions every you have new versions every half a year. Some of these are labeled breaking and some are not, and some of these that are not labeled breaking are still breaking, and you basically have to follow, right? And when you're working with customers, sometimes the customer is not touching their website, the code in half a year or a year. And then when you re-engage with the customer, the first thing that you certainly don't want to do is update the entire tool chain and manage a bunch of dependency. But your client is going to ask you, okay, how long will it take you to be productive again, right? And we want our partners to be able to say, what about 30 minutes, right? So that's my perspective on JavaScript. I'm definitely a fan there.
Okay, there is another question, but maybe we did already cover it. How many guys have built in the project? TypeScript helps if you have to share APIs across multiple devs. So did we already answer that, or maybe?
I didn't answer that, but we have a blend. We don't just have guys, we have girls too. We have about 100 plus engineers.
How many on your side?
All right, then I proceed with the grades. That's just like one detail I want to highlight, because it's, I don't know, I get all you guys here did like several AEM projects in the past, or even on the CQ time. There was always, the customer always wanted to have spell checker in components, and it was always pain in the ass to get that running. You never had like proper spell checking, especially when we talk about different languages, fonts, and so on. Then you have Arabic and so on and so on. This now is already solved with document-based editing. It's something small, but I think it's pretty great to have it now, because Word, they were the first one who had like proper spell checking.
Yeah.
On the limitation side, yeah, there's sure with some simplicity, you also have like limitations, but yeah, to be honest, it's Edge Delivery Services, in my opinion, still in the early stage, so more will come, especially at the point of time when you can use like the combination from like a classic author environment, publishing your content into the pipeline. Then these limitations, like for example, multi-site management for large multi-language, multi-market sites, that will be solved as well. Yeah, not having a build chain. Yeah, there's no post-processing possible, but I think it's also an advancement not having a build chain. Honestly, I see so many projects, first few weeks of the project, you have to build up like everything before you can commit your first line of code. Here it's very easy. Copy boilerplate and you're ready to start. I think it's also a big advancement. The only thing I see where probably Adobe could support us is like on the query index, because there's no preview index. There's just a live index. So everything has to be published that you have it in the index. So on the query index, that would be nice to have like a feature to have like for the preview, the index data as differently from the live one.
How did you handle that?
We couldn't handle it. So yeah, it was just like.
Okay. So
yeah.
right. So the reason I'm asking, right? I always like to think about this as not as limitations, but as constraints, and constraints are a bit more neutral as a term than limitations, right? You never see good limitations, but constraints can be useful, right? Constraints are the things that keep you going on the road, and you might say, well, I don't like the white lines that are on the side of the road, but they keep you there, right? And whenever our customers run into these constraints, or let's say encounter these constraints, I'm really interested to see how they overcome them, right? And sometimes it's, well, we found it annoying, but we managed to go live without doing anything, right? In which case, I'm registering this as okay. Sometimes customers are building incredibly complex workarounds. Sometimes they're building incredibly simple workarounds, right? And these are the most interesting ones, because that's something where, on the one hand, you made enough effort to address the constraint, and then you found a way to solve it that we can learn from. So that's why I'm always happy when people share their constraints, their challenges with us, because that helps us build a better product, right? That doesn't just take anything as that doesn't take anything that is a constraint as a limitation that needs to be addressed, but that is able to preserve the simplicity of the product at its core.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was it from my side. As mentioned, if you want to know more, if you want to hear like the guy who really done it, like Stefan Seifert, yeah, on YouTube, the talk is available. adaptTo channel, there you find Stefan's talk 2023 about migrating adaptTo website to Edge Delivery Services. So really worth it to have a look. Interesting 35 minutes.
Yeah.
We have still a question just before you really finish it. What was the hardest part of the migration?
Hardest part of the migration.
Or any advice what not to do? That's the second one.
Advice what's not to do. I would say advice what to do. Just try it out. Like, yeah, and make you go for it. That was like the first. I think the hardest part is like to get started. Like to say, okay, do we take time now, or let's say, so really like, okay, we do it now, because we had a bit of the issue from our adaptTo timing perspective, because it was happening like beginning of year, and then also we have like the call for paper phase. Then we start to sell the tickets, and we were changing the ticketing shop as well, which was like a third-party integration. So what do we do now? Do we integrate the ticketing shop still into the legacy side? are we going to be ready with the EDS side on time to get that ready for the ticket selling and so on? It was a bit of an issue, more like the timing, the planning stuff, less, let's say, that the technology. Technology was super surprised how easy it went, also about how excellent support we did get from Adobe. Thanks for that. At that point, it was not in Discord, it was still on Slack. But yeah, when we raised questions, we had doubts, we had issues, immediately feedback was there. That was really excellent experience.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Roman.